Hi everybody, this is Dave Krug. I want to show you a little some stuff that we're going to do on Excel in regards to Chapter 17 Financial Statement Analysis. This video will be a little longer than some of mine, but maybe this can help you. Okay, now right here what we have, and I only have 3 years here. You might be analyzing more, but for simplicity purposes I just put up 3 years worth of data. Now I am going to point out here, we have the income statements here, we have the balance sheets here. Some things that are obvious is we want all of the 2020 data in one column. We want all the 19 data in one column. We want all the 18 data in one column. Sometimes you'll look at the raw data like an annual report or something, and they'll have different columns where you need to get this all in one column. Okay, however you need to format that. Also, do not put like blank. Let me show you what you don't want to do. You don't want to like put, you don't want to do something crazy like this where you have blank columns in there. No, don't do that. Don't have blank columns in there. Okay, now first thing I'm going to do is I am going to do horizontal analysis. Okay, so this is where we have a base year. We're going to make this our base year, okay? And we're going to see how things change in accordance with the base year number, okay? Now, I have seen some people that do something like this. They put it over here. And then they go sales, cost of goods sold. No, you don't want this. You don't want sales on this line over here and sales on this line over here. No, you want this all on the same line. So if this is where your years are with raw data, then I'm going to do a copy. This is where you want your years to be in regards to your horizontal analysis. Okay, same way with this. If sales is here, then sales is analysis is going to be over here. Okay, now what we're going to do is, this will be a little bit of review, but with horizontal analysis I'm going to divide everything on this line by the base year. So 1,000 divided by 1,000 is 100%. Okay, now if I pull that over, it's not going to work, because what it did was, I want to divide everything by D5, but when I pulled this over, this is taking that by C5, and this is taking that by B5. Okay, so what I have to do, there's one or two things I can do. Okay, first thing you could do is you could push F2 to edit that, then push F4. Now let me push F4 again, F4 again, and then F4 again. Right now there's no absolute values on that denominator. If I push it once, it's locking in that absolute value of D5 and of column D and row 5. If I push it again, it's locking in and doing an absolute value as far as the row, but not the column. If I push it again, it's doing an absolute as far as the column, but not the row. Does this make sense? But for right now, I'm going to put absolute values in front of the column and the row. Okay. Once I have that, I'll still get that. But now when I pull it over, it can do this. And we can tell by these easy numbers that these are correct. Okay, you can always, check it with a calculator, or put easy numbers in there to see if you're getting the right values here. Okay, so that is correct. The only thing that I don't like about that, though, is this. If I pull that down, it's going to give me a lot of erroneous data. Okay, and the reason is because it is still dividing everything. Like take this one for example. That should be 100%. but it's taking that divided by D5, which is this number. It should be dividing by that number, not this number. Now, I could go in and change that, but I'm going to tell you what a shortcut's going to be. Let me get rid of that. What I know is I actually don't need that absolute value on the row. I just need it on the column. I want it to lock into that column, but I don't need it to do an absolute value as far as the row. Okay. So I'm going to take out the row and just the dollar sign that pertains to that. Now this is still going to give me the same answers, but now what I can do is I can pull this down. See how easy that was? I just put the absolute value to lock in the column, so that way I could pull it that way, and then I could pull all that data down. Okay, as a matter of fact, what I can do here is copy this, right click, copy, right click, paste, and it should have worked. Okay, and I can tell it worked because of those numbers. All right, so now what I can do is, see, take a look at this one. This is, you can always look up here to see if it's doing what you want it to do. I want it to take D17 divided by D17. That's C17. Yes, I want it to take C17 divided by D17. So then what I can do is I can pull that all the way down. Boom. I don't want these, so I'm going to highlight that and then push delete. See how much easier that is though? See how much that's easier by just having the absolute value in front of the column and not the row. Otherwise you got to change every row. Okay. Now let's go ahead and title what this is. This is horizontal analysis. Now again, I'm only doing 3 years. You might be doing more than that. Okay. You might be doing more years than that. Okay. Trying to make this look a little prettier. Let's change the color. Isn't that pretty? Okay. Now, if I wanted to do vertical analysis, what I could do is take this over here and let's change that to vertical analysis. Now, vertical analysis, what it does is it divides everything on the income statement by sales. Let's do that first. Okay, I'm going to copy this. Once again, I want to stay on the same lines. Okay. All right. And so what I'm going to do is, let's worry about the, we don't really have a base year here. We can get rid of that 2001-8 base because that base only applies to horizontal analysis. But on vertical analysis, what we're going to divide is everything by total sales. Okay, boom, that's 1. I want to change that to percent. I want to add a decimal. Okay, so then what I would do is I would take this divided by total sales. That should be 35%. Let's just do this. Let's just format this all so we don't have to keep doing that. Okay, now that's going to get old having to retype that. So what we're going to do is this. Now we're talking vertically now, not horizontally like we were before. So we got to think a little different. Okay, let's get rid of those. Okay, I want this to be divided by total sales. Okay, now I'm going to do an absolute value. This time I could do that, but then I'm going to have to redo it. Well, let me go ahead and do that for simplicity. Okay, um, let's think through this. Okay, here, hold on a second. Okay, I had to think through it. So let's go ahead and do that. Pull that down. These should be easy numbers to check because I made that base year 1,000. Now, I can't pull this down. I can't pull this across. Can't pull it across because, see, I want that to be C5 divided by C5, and it's C5 divided by D5. So I need to change that. Okay. Change that to a C. Change that to a B. Okay, but now what I can do is pull those down. All right. And again, I can eyeball these and they look pretty good, but if you wanted, you could take plus 370 divided by 120. Let's just do that. Plus 370 divided by 1200, I should say. And that equals 30.8%. So that number's right. Okay? So this is our vertical analysis. It's analyzing things from top to bottom. It's analyzing the income statement based on total sales. Now, we do this with the balance sheet as well, except we divide each item by that year's total assets. Okay? So what I would do, copy this down. Can you imagine what a pain in the rear this would be to do with a calculator and a pencil and a paper? So I'm going to take, I want to take this number divided by, whoops, I did that wrong, sorry. I want to do this number divided by total assets. And I want that total assets to be an absolute value, so I'm going to push F4. Boom. Okay. I want this to be that divided by this number. You can look up here again. I'm going to push F4 so that does an absolute value. Then lastly, I'm going to do this divided by this number. I'm going to push F4 once. Boom. Now what I can do is pull these down, and it makes sense that this line is 100%, right? Because it's being divided, these numbers are being divided by themselves. Okay? Now what I can actually do is copy this down to here, pull that down, and this bottom row should be 100% too, because it's dividing, for example, this one's dividing 26,150 divided by total assets. Well, of course, total liabilities and equity have to equal total assets. So there I just did vertical analysis. Isn't that nifty? Okay. Take these should all be percentages, and they all should be to one decimal place. Remember how you increase and decrease decimal places? Okay. Oh, look what I did. See, I accidentally changed those to percents. So I'm just going to copy back over there again. Okay. All right. We're going to do a couple more things and then call it a video. Okay. So again, this is all our raw data. This is our horizontal analysis. This is our vertical analysis. Okay. Remember, when you do these formulas, you can always get a calculator and check to make sure that whatever Excel is doing for you is correct. But you know, you're going to be analyzing probably more years than just 3, so this is really going to save you a lot of time. Okay, I am only going to analyze 2 of the ratios that I want you to do. You should have the complete list of what I want you to do. And the first one I want to do is current ratio. But now, using all this data above me, I'm going to calculate the current ratio for that year, and then this year, and then this year, okay? Well, the current ratio is, these formulas are already done. I'm going to just show those to you. I like to take these to 2 decimal places, but let's take a look. As always, when you put your cursor in the cell, it will show you the formula up here. And if I want to see in a different graphical way what this is doing, push F2, and it's all nice and pretty. See how it does that? That means it's taking B17 plus B18 plus B19 divided by B26. Okay? Now, these are the only, we know that the current ratio is your current assets divided by your current liabilities. So that is doing what we want it to do, because our 3 current assets in this example are cash, accounts receivable, and merchandise inventory. Now, some other company might have 5 or 6 current assets. You have to make your formula accordingly. Your current we only have 1 current liability, but if there were more than 1 current liability, you would have to add these as well. Now, this is important. You need to understand how parentheses work. What this is saying, these parentheses, this should be basic math, is we want you to add those 3 things in the parentheses and then take that answer divided by B26. Okay? If you did not have those parentheses and you put it in your formula like that, it would give you a wackadoodle number. Our current ratio is not 6,000. But see, what it's doing, it's taking B17 plus B18 plus B19 divided by B26. No, we don't want just the B19 divided by B26. We want to enter our parentheses back in there. And we want all 3 of those numbers added before we divide it by B26. Now we're back to a good old number. Are you with me? These, I don't think you have to do any absolute values on. You can just pull them over. Okay, so once we have that, we can pull it over. Are you with me? We're going to do one more ratio. We're going to do the, let me think. We're going to do the accounts receivable turnover ratio. Now, if you look in your book at your PowerPoints, the way you compute AR turnover, or accounts receivable turnover, is you take sales or net sales. I mean, you take net sales if you have it, but we just have sales here, so that's what we'll use, divided by average accounts receivable. Okay, now you need to pay attention here. This is the last thing we're going to do. Let's take a look at this formula. Okay, I'm going to go to that cell. Well, let me show you what these numbers are first. Okay, I'm going to go to that cell. That is taking, and what I did, let me show you one more time. I put my cursor there and pushed F2. That is taking B5 sales divided by the average accounts receivable. Well, average accounts receivable would be these 2 numbers added together, then divided by 2. Now look at your parentheses here. I'll read this to you. Equals B5 divided by parentheses, parentheses, B18 plus C18, close parentheses, divided by 2, closed parentheses. So what we have to do is the things in the parentheses first. The first thing that we want to do is add those 2 numbers. Then we want to divide those 2 numbers by 2. Then we want to take B5 divided by that number. Are you with me? It's this number divided by the average accounts receivable, which are these 2 numbers. Are you with me? Now, and that equals 0.36. If I pull that over to here, let's push F2 here. That is sales for 2019 divided by average accounts receivable. Now that means that the ending balance of 2019 and the ending balance of 2018 is what you're going to use to compute accounts receivable. Or you can think of it this way. 2018 ending balance of accounts receivable is the same thing as the beginning balance of 2019. So this sales is divided by these two accounts receivables averaged out. Okay. Now, if I pull this over, it's going to give me an answer that I can tell is wrong, because look what it's trying to do. I don't have 2017 accounts receivable. So I would have to do one of two things. I would have to go get those 2017 numbers and put them in there if I wanted an AR turnover for 2018, or I could just say, no, I can't do that. Okay, can't do that because I don't have this year's data. I cannot figure out 2018 accounts receivable turnover because it requires the 2017 accounts receivable ending balance, and I can't do that. Okay, I'll go ahead and put this, right align this. Okay, so this is your ratio analysis down here, and you can add whatever other ratios I want you to compute. And again, you probably have more than 3 years to do. Now, all of this is stuff that we have done before, but I went through it all again, and I know it took a while to watch, but to kind of give you an idea of how to work on this project. Take a look at what I've given you as far as your specific project, how I want you to work it, but this should be a good example of how I want it laid out. Thanks.